We are witnessing the fall of the Roman Empire. We got the New York Times pushing to the masses what's happening at the Beast Games. Folks not getting their medicine and having full-on seizures. I cannot say that word. Seizures. Seizures. Folks having full-on seizures. I give up. Folks having full-on like Caesars, like Caesar salad. That don't sound too bad. Honestly, I'm kind of hungry right now if you ask me. And a whole bunch of other stuff that I haven't talked about in this video right here. One thing I didn't talk about in that video is that MrBeast, Sir Jimmy, is getting accused of stealing panties. Boy, I wish I was kidding.
You're a freaking frog!
What you doing with those panties, Jimmy? Well, I have an idea, but I'll get to that. And for the person that said, is Jimmy supposed to supply underwear? Yeah, fair point. If he wasn't stealing them.
You's a freaky ass nigga!
MrBeast also has a whole team working around the clock to delete comments in his recent video talking about the controversy and trying his darnest to cover up his higher than usual dislikes. He even got Drama Alert in on the cover up, making them scrap the picture of him having such an atrocious like to dislike ratio to one where the dislike to like ratio is godly. What? Drama Alert? No way, I am shocked. Such a reputable source getting paid off? Oh my gosh, say it ain't so. Chucky, who's becoming a reoccurring character, will join the Xbox Live party to share the actual analytics of the video that shows that the like to dislike is doing better than usual. Yo, Chucky, I'm sorry to tell you this, but Jimmy's not gonna let you hit, gang. I think the correct like to dislike ratio lies somewhere in the middle. Since YouTube removed dislikes, there's no bulletproof way of us knowing what the actual dislike count is. I think we should all just assume that it's lying somewhere in the middle. Now we got Dog Pack dropping his much anticipated part 2. On the Everything app, Dog Pack said in part 2 he was gonna talk about Jimmy's philanthropy, but it seems like he had a change of heart because he took a completely different route with this one. I'll share my thoughts with you guys later. I just want to info dump about part 2. If you're just like me holding out hope that there's a sliver of a chance that MrBeast is the good guy he betrays himself out to be, well, you're gonna retract your hand in absolute disgust. Dogpack will start the video by sharing that there have been former MrBeast employees reaching out to him, either showing him support, give him a slap on the gluteus like, hey, good work, boy, or they are sharing stories like a toxic work environment or their fake video stories.
After posting I got hundreds of messages from former MrBeast employees and I had them all send proof of former employment. Just people showing their support or telling their stories of fake videos or unsafe practices, toxic workplace, stuff like that.
He would also say MrBeast has been sitting on a response because he wanted to wait until part 2 dropped because he didn't want to get meet the grammed.
Also, I heard from a very credible source that MrBeast has been sitting on a response to part 1 because he was worried if he posted it, I would instantly respond with part 2, like this is Kids Bop, Kendrick Lamar vs. Drake.
Crazy to think that Family Matters, a fire diss track that we will look back at and say, you know what, we didn't give it its proper due. This thing deserved way more love than it got because after Family Matters dropped, it got overshadowed by Meet the Grams that dropped literally 30 minutes after. I'm a Drake Glazer, man. I'm a Drake Glazer, and I can admit that moment, that's when Kendrick won the battle, man. And Not Like Us was just a nail in the coffin. Not Like Us, by the way, is gonna fit perfectly with what we're about to talk about later. To give you guys a hint, Dogpack said that there has been sexual misconduct happening at the Beast HQ, and Jimmy has been covering it up. It's not a good look in general, but especially in the midst of Pantygate, having degenerates on payroll that you enable by covering up their actions. Let me just throw a hypothesis out there. Maybe a way that you cut costs was giving those freakazoids those panties. I know one of them had to have been the guy that gave the girls the drone and 100 boys versus 100 girls.
During the 100 boys versus girls video, I have people corroborating the same story that the camera guy who gave the girls a drone was making some girls feel uncomfortable.
Dogpack would interview Jake Weddle, who not only was in front of the camera being a contestant in videos, but also was behind the scenes working as a writer.
I'm Jake Weddle. Most people who, if you know me from MrBeast, I'm a deep cut. I'm in a few of the videos, sometimes maybe purposefully kept to the shadows a little bit. I'm in the cutting room floor a lot of the time. But I've been in some videos, I've worked on a lot of them. I was there from 2019 to 2020, 2021-ish when I came back and did some.
He even had to act surprised in a video that he helped write. It was the destroying my friend's car and giving him a new one. He even had to rope in his mama into it.
And so that was the one and only time I had to, my car? What? And on the fly, I saw him, because Marcus was in that video. So Marcus is calling his mom. Marcus genuinely had no idea. He genuinely had no idea. But so Marcus is calling his mom, and his mom's freaking out. And I'm like, oh no, they're gonna call my mom next. So I had to text my mom, who had to beg to get the title very quickly. Now I'm texting my mom, I go, Mom, I'm about to call you about the meteor thing. You have no idea? Be surprised. And then I hit send, and then they go, call your mom now. And I call my mom and I tell her, and oh, she should have got the Oscar. Oh my God, on the fly, she goes, what? I'm on vacation. Mom, my car has been destroyed.
Wait, what?
A meteor hit it.
Jacob, I'm on vacation. Do you understand?
Things would take an emotional turn when Jake talked about a guy with a whole family not wanting to rock the boat by asking to get paid properly. Jake would convince him to back him up in asking for what they deserve. They would ask for a bump in pay and it didn't go well. It would end in them the next day receiving a severance check.
One of the things I didn't like about the way some of the V stuff shook out was, I feel really guilty about the way this shook out. Yeah, I was talking to this other writer, it's fucked up, that's how the pay is, and I want you to get paid more, because you deserve to get paid more. I don't have a kid. And he didn't want to rock the boat. He desperately didn't want to rock the boat. He's just, I like my job. I like, because, but he said, hey man, if that's how you feel, if that's I trust you. He stood with me. He went to that meeting with me. And I said my piece, and he backed me up. I said, I need XYZ or I'm out of here. And they said, bet, and they gave me a severance check the next day. And they gave him a severance check the next day. And if I knew he was gonna lose his job too, I wouldn't have done it.
And for the people out there that don't know what a severance check is basically you getting paid after they fired you. Luckily, from what Jake said, the guy's doing pretty well as of now.
Is he doing good? Yeah, he's doing good. He's a good guy. I love that guy. He's doing good. Yeah.
So maybe you're still better?
Honestly, best thing I could have done for him. Now that he's very, very far removed from all this crazy shit, I guess.
Things would get emotional again. Jake talked about how the solitary confinement video MrBeast did wasn't the first time they tried it. The first go round, their first choice was Jake. It did not go well for Jake, to say the least. There was an ice cream machine. When it was on, it would make such a loud noise, and when it was off, it smelt. And when it was sleeping time, they would not turn off the lights because it would ruin the time lapse.
A hot tub that's not connected to a filtration system. Give it 3 days, it's gonna stink. The shower was always cold, and you're taking a quick shower, and I had cameras 24/7 on me, and the ice cream machine, let's talk about that for a second. The ice cream machine has 2 mugs, on, and off, reeking of smelly dairy, mildew, and it got to a point where they weren't turning the lights off. I asked them, I said, can we have nighttime hours? And they said no, because it would fuck up the time-lapse shots. The time-lapse of what? Me sleeping? Or me not sleeping?
They even made him say when he received the money, thank you, MrBeast. I can finally pay my student loans.
Sometimes he'd have a note for the director over the phone. That would really piss me off. This is a note I got from the director, from Jimmy, when I'm receiving some cash. He said, Jimmy said, can you say to the camera how thankful you are that now you can pay back your student loans? You know how hard it was to do a take of that?
After that, they made him run a whole marathon.
There was so much pressure to just do it, just do the thing, And if I refuse, it's just, well, that's the whole video. I guess the budget's, so much money up in flames because Jake said he wouldn't want to do the thing. And so I wanted to be a good sport, and I wanted to get the boost and I wanted the cash, and so I start running at 12. I was able to take some breaks, and I asked him, how long do I have? He goes, until I get back.
He's not a runner, mind you, and as you can see, he's got no Kenyan blood in him. Even though they gave him breaks, they had him run until 3 a.m. When he got off, he had massive blisters on the bottom of his feet that had him struggling to walk for a couple days and lactic acid buildup.
And I'm running until 3 a.m. I got off the treadmill. Oh, the blisters I had on my feet were like, you wouldn't believe, just all over, just these big red. I couldn't walk. My muscles were like just the lactic acid.
That was the final straw for him, and he dropped out.
I got off the treadmill, and then the people that came in to like ice my feet, make sure I was good. Then that's when I was like, I'm done. I'm done. I'm out. I'm out. And they brought in all my friends, to make it. They brought in all the people I liked. And Jimmy. But Jimmy had he was sitting in the chair turned around like an evil villain. Swear to God, everyone was looking at me and he was like Lex Luthor over there. As if rehearsed by his lawyers. Your mental health is the most important thing, just want to make sure you're okay. And the last thing we want you to do is...
I can almost hear the word Sue come out of his mouth. The S, he just stopped right before I got out.
I did not get the 300K. What I got, he goes, think of it this way. At least you get to keep what you earned. You were in there for XYZ days. You did XYZ challenges, so you got, 100,000 some change, give or take.
If you're as charitable as you paint yourself out to be, the least you could do after putting him through all of that was giving him the remaining money, honestly. If you were so worried about his well-being, the last thing that crosses your mind should have been, oh my gosh, I hope he doesn't sue. I don't know, maybe if you actually gave him medical attention instead of you having people go up to him, asking him, are you okay? Are you all right? Oh my gosh, that looks bad.
And then you started talking about how your feet were literally bloody. Said they were going to get you medical help, and they didn't really. They got people that were off duty to come talk to you.
And not making him run a whole marathon, you wouldn't have to worry about him suing you. Dogpack would cut to a document titled How to Succeed in MrBeast Production and went straight to a questionable chapter title.
Also, as far as he could have said no, he could have left at any time. I want to show this segment from an internal document at MrBeast called How to Succeed in MrBeast Production. Specifically on page 19, there's a paragraph called No does not mean no. Already insane.
Yup, now you see why such sexual misconduct has been happening at his HQ? Now, what does Not Like Us have to do with this situation? Well, MrBeast has a sex offender on payroll. The crime isn't he had sex in a McDonald's parking lot or, peed in public. No. The age of the victim lies between the ages of 1 and 11 years old.
Well, there was a known sex offender, registered sex offender, convicted sex offender on the registry and everything who worked there. From what I hear, I can't confirm or deny, from what I hear, he's on the registry for doing some not great stuff to some underage people. And they knew that. And he's working at a channel that has underage people on and around and is targeted to underage people.
They actually gave him a manager role.
And they covered up the fact that not only did he work there, but he was the manager when it all started.
They called the guy Delaware because he allowed in Delaware.
But when I was there, they called him Delaware. It's why do you call him Delaware? I didn't know. Apparently they called him Delaware because he's not allowed to go back to Delaware.
Hey, it's Delaware. What's happening with you, man? Hey, yo, why do y'all call him Delaware by chance? Always because he molested a kid between the ages of 1 to 11 and he's no longer allowed in Delaware no more. Right? They even put him in videos. You might have seen him. He's the guy that wears the mask.
He'll be in videos. He'll be in thumbnails. He'll be around. And whenever he is, He's wearing a mask. Why would you wear a mask? Why would you conceal your face? It's like, what are you concealing?
I wonder why they hid his face. Maybe because they didn't want anybody to watch the video and be like, he seems familiar. I think I've seen him on a registry before, and look him up and pop, there goes his name and face, and now MrBeast is associated with a sex offender. The MrBeast team is actively trying to get his record expunged from the registry.
Okay, so finally I have a recorded phone conversation. The person on the other end of this line is a different former MrBeast employee talking about Delaware. Also, apparently before this phone conversation got recorded, the person on the other end of the line said that the MrBeast team was actually trying to expunge Delaware's record off the registry.
I guess they're trying to show his face in videos because him wearing a mask is ruining retention. The last thing I wanted to talk about before sharing my thoughts on the whole thing is that Jake Weddle actually dropped his own video. I probably showed you a clip of the mama talking about the whole him not getting medical attention thing. And I just wanted to say one thing from that video, that he said that he talked to a reliable source that told him that there have been a bunch of private investigators hired in Greensboro by just one person.
I called my buddy, let's say his name is Mark. I called him because he lives there and he's connected with the law enforcement and the lawyers and the legal stuff, you know? I thought, who else do I call? So I called him back after I talked to the lawyers who I didn't need. He goes, hey man, just a heads up. I know a lot of the law enforcement in Greenville because I used to live over there. And apparently, a lot of them are working right now for one guy, company, entity. A lot of them are on the same dime, working overtime.
It still doesn't 100% confirm it, but it does put some truth into that text message Dogpack got from the MrBeast employee saying that Jimmy hired a private investigator to dig up dirt on him. Now, my thoughts. I will always stand on this. I could care less if MrBeast videos are fake, man, because at the end of the day, it's about the content. Are you putting out good content? Like, clip farming has become such a huge thing. Like, who cares if it's funny, good content, man? Hey, you know, do your done dizzle. If it was just that, I could care less, in all honesty. But it's the fact that MrBeast is doing illegal lotteries, pushing gambling and diabetes onto kids, and having sex offenders on his payroll. That's just unexcusable. Who cares how great your content is? MrBeast better not play that, oh, I have no idea, because you said that exact same thing when it came to the Ava situation, and it would come out in them leaked Discord messages that you did. And I haven't seen the videos where the sex offender was in, but if he was out there saying, hey, Delaware, calling him by his nickname, you knew. Everybody around the office calling him Delaware. Not at one time you were curious, like, yo, why y'all calling him Delaware? That's not his name. Like, it had to have come up one way or another. But hypothetically, let's just say MrBeast didn't have an idea. It's either the people you put in charge of hiring have such a loose hiring process, or that they saw that you was a sex offender and they were like, you know what, MrBeast wouldn't mind this at all. MrBeast would not care about this, not one bit. There's no way that they saw that he was a sex offender and they didn't run it by you. Not at all. They just decided to hire him without your say so. Is that what you're telling me right now? Quick update on Delaware. It has come out by Jack the Viking himself on the Everything app that Delaware is his brother-in-law. I'm obviously gonna put the tweet up, but basically Delaware and some other people, there's other people involved in this situation, got accused by the victim that was 11 years old at the time of getting SA'd by them. He would take a plea deal. That's why he didn't do any jail time, but he was still obligated to register. He would then go on to say that Jimmy did in fact know about Delaware's history. Two things I want to say real quick. When he says this happened in 2010 and he got hired in 2017, like, that's just old news, man. That was way back in the past, man. Let's go ahead and move on from that. Dude, he got accused of SAing an 11-year-old. That's something we don't overlook because it happened a couple of years ago. No! And the last thing I wanted to say is we all got to hear the backstory on what happened so we can assess the reason why Jimmy allowed him to be on the team. And MrBeast's ex-girlfriend would put out a statement as well where she said absolutely nothing of substance. I wasted my time that I will never get back reading it. It just keeps getting worse and worse, man. I never expected this whole thing to get here. The crazy thing is, this isn't even the kill shot. The kill shot is part 3.
So I will just tell you, James, what will be in part 3, so you don't have to harass my people. It will be about serious allegations of sexual misconduct in the company and your direct involvement in covering up those crimes.